And good afternoon, everyone. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. Each Friday afternoon from 3:30 till 5, we're on the air recording live. And then we post it on YouTube in a couple of days, and you'll be able to check out your audio. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor. Good evening or good afternoon at the moment. And let's see if Charlie's out there. Charlie, K1GZL, you got a copy?
Yeah. You got a copy? Yeah. Fine. You copy
I'm copying at the reduced level. I checked Rochester and I checked Raleigh. Let me check, come back and let me check Milford, the PA.
Okay. But you're very Q5. Anyway, good copy anyway, KC9VKV, K1. How is going on Milford?
Well, I tell you, so far we're not doing too well anywhere. Let me try Arlington, Virginia. We had a pretty good copy on that time, that one last time. So we'll just see how that's going to do. Okay, I've got Arlington, Virginia. Charlie, come back and try it again, please.
Charlie, come back and try it again, please.
Okay, KC9VKV, K1GZL. With moderate heavy snow blowing at the moment. It's 30 degrees. You're copying through Arlington. Go ahead.
I'm copying you about 3 dB above noise on Arlington, and that's the best one. I'm not really sure what's happening there, Charlie. Maybe check your audio, check your RF. Let's hope we have a misalignment somewhere and we can come back on schedule, because it really is a kind of not a good day on the band, Roger.
Not a good day on the band, Roger.
Yeah, I don't hear anybody very strong on the whole band. I don't hear anybody very strong, but you're good. You're solid. We're right through this snow. Started to snow in Raleigh this morning. About 5 or 6 o'clock. We have now about 6 o'clock this morning. We've now had 10 more inches of snow. Yeah, maybe you could try some spot in Ohio. Or around Detroit Michigan or something.
Roger, I barely have a copy on you, Charlie. I'm not really sure what's happening there. Usually somewhere I've got a pretty good copy, but this afternoon, I've checked Virginia, I've checked Rochester, I've checked Raleigh, and I've checked Milford, PA, and it's just the band must be really dead, Roger.
The band must be really dead, Roger.
Yeah, you're 5 and 10 over 9. Beautiful copy up here. But my SWR, of course, is bad, and it is snowing. Moderately. It is snowing moderately. And we've got another 10 inches coming. So we're going to end up with about 20. When this thing ends midday tomorrow, we may get as much as 20 inches of snow. Go ahead.
Copy 20 inches of snow. Boy, that's keeping you at home for sure. Nobody travels in 20 inches of snow. Is that right?
20 inches of snow. Is that right?
There's waves. I just got plowed out about 40 minutes ago. It's now 31. It's 3:32. Plowed out about 40 minutes ago. This morning, I got 25 to 9.
Sorry, Charlie, missed most of that. You were in the noise. So I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and clear with you, sir. Maybe if conditions improve later on, give me another shout. Roger, roger.
Give me another shout. Roger, roger.
Okay, I got into a lot of trouble. If I don't catch you today, I'll catch you next Friday. I'll catch you next Friday if we don't make it today, Jim, okay?
Roger, roger, Charlie. Yeah, we'll reschedule for next Friday. I'll be looking for you. 3s for now, sir, and don't go out in that snow unless you got to. We'll catch you later, Charlie. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording.
This is Whiskey 8. Zulu?
Whiskey 8 station, come back with a call sign again.
Yes, this is Whiskey 8, X-Ray Zulu.
Roger, and the name, please?
The name is Dan, and I'm located just north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Roger that, Dan, and how goes it this afternoon?
Yeah, very good. We had a little bit of chilly. We had a little bit of snow, but nothing that laid or anything. Just got back from the YMCA. The afternoon, and thought I'd give you a call and see what my audio was sounding like to you.
Roger, well, I'm copying you at about 5 dB above my noise level, so I'm assuming that you're running about 100 watts. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm running an Alpine 7300 with a dipole antenna that's only up about 25 feet.
Okay, so that last transmission was a little bit different than the first one. It didn't seem to be quite as bright, so I'm not sure you are working that microphone the same both times. Were you working the mic the same both times? Roger that, roger that. Well, I guess it was atmospheric conditions because you did fade down into the noise. And usually what happens when that fade starts, there's an audio deterioration just leading the RF deterioration. So the audio becomes just a little discolored right before, a fade out. It seems to me anyway. So I'm not sure that we're going to have enough signal to work with. Come back and let me hear you again, sir. Roger, roger, Dan. Well, maybe give me a shout later in the hour. Maybe their conditions will get a little bit better, and we'll be able to get a better signal and be able to tell what we're doing. Right now, conditions just seem to be lousy. I'm not picking up anybody even on the SDRs, so I don't know what to say. We're headed into an abyss deep down in the RF levels, I guess. I don't know. But this is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, hopefully give us a shout and we'll be able to record it and then load it up onto YouTube, and then you can come by and be able to hear your audio as probably a pristine recording as you're going to come by. This is KC9VKV.
VKV.
Well, now I got three folks on the Milford, PA, which should be interested. The loudest one, come back. Well, I thought I did. Maybe it was me. Sometimes, you know, with these SDRs, I can catch the last part of my words because of the latency of the SDR receivers. And sometimes it really gets interesting when that latency gets out to about 15 seconds. You know, I can actually hear my whole transmission. It's kind of strange. I have a selector so I can select these different SDRs. Right now I'm feeding, I'm getting in Rochester, let's see, let me check that. Arlington, Virginia, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Milford, PA. And I'm going to go to Rochester on that one. Let me, because that's usually the one I use for Rochester. All right, and here comes Rochester up, 1, 2, 3, boom, and the volume up. And we'll try this again. Anybody out there that wants to get their audio recorded, give me a shout. This is KC9VKV.
Whiskey 0. That's W0, yes.
Whiskey 0 station. Come back with your call sign, please.
Whiskey 0, Yankee, Echo Sierra. Whiskey 0, Yankee, Echo Sierra, Mobile.
Roger, Mobile. Where are you mobiling? In Minnesota, I see. And well, what is that mobile unit consist of?
We're running the Kenwood PS480, Kenwood PS480, and a screwdriver. Over.
Roger, Roger. And what's the name there?
The name here is Pat, Alpha Tango.
I copy that as Pat. Is that correct?
Correct. Roger, as in St. Patrick.
Roger. And Pat, what kind of power are you running right now?
Right now. Yeah, we're running 100 watts, just 100 watts, the basic PS480 transmitter, over.
Roger. Well, you're making the trip. I'm sure there's a lot of other more powerful units out there, but yeah, you are the one that I'm listening to on the Milford SDR PA, Roger. Milford PA SDR, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, roger that. Appreciate the comeback here. We're setting up here. Our radio club is setting up a hand luncheon. And open tomorrow, so the snow is starting to go away in Minnesota. We're starting to see a little bit of spring. It's been a deep snow winter, over.
Roger. Well, do you look forward to the snow, or do you look forward to the sunshine?
I look forward to every season. In Minnesota, we've got 4 beautiful seasons, and enjoy each one of them, over.
Roger, Roger. Yes, I look forward to each day, whether it's rain or shine. I don't want to not be present to catch the day, whatever it is. It's a beautiful day. Any day you wake up is a beautiful day, Roger.
Switch from my stock headset to come to the furnace to my headset because I recently made a modification to the headset here.
All right. I wish I had a better signal on you, but go ahead. I've got what you were, so let's see what you add. I understand you're going to switch mics, so we'll let you go ahead and do that. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program. QSO-VLOG Network, I think we're calling it now. And right now we're checking out Pat in his mobile, and he's changed mics now, I think. And let's hear what this next mic sounds like.
All right, I've switched over to my Radio Sport headset, which I've used for a long time on here. Originally, this was a dynamic microphone, and I switched to an electric microphone element on here. Might be driving it a little hard, I'm not sure. So your audio feedback would be appreciated, over.
Roger. Well, I like that one. I don't know. It does sound like it might be a little hot, but right at the moment, that's exactly what you need. You're about 2 dB above my noise level, so you know, all help is appreciated. Roger.
Roger. Yeah, roger that. That's the time I had to put in this electric element analyzing. But it works on this PS480 as well, so it's the first time I've had
Roger, Pat 3Z Wacer, and that mobile's smoking with either mic that you run, you know. But I do personally prefer the last mic. I think it really helped when you switched to that mic. So we'll say 3s for now, and drive carefully there in that mobile. Wouldn't want to disturb any of the electronics or anything. So we'll catch you later, 3s. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording and we're standing by.
Kilo Delta 2, Papa India, India.
Papa India, India, come back with a call sign.
India, India, come back with a call sign.
Kilo Delta 2, Papa India, India, Paul in Rochester, New York.
Roger that. Roger that. And coincidentally, I am receiving you on the Rochester, New York SDR. You must be within 25 miles of this SDR, Roger.
Miles of this SDR, Roger.
Roger, Roger. I didn't even know there was a web SDR in Rochester, New York. I'll have to find that one.
Oh, Roger, this is a really nice one. Does a real good job, and I use it quite a bit, quite often. That in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the Milford, PA SDRs. So, what radio are you running now?
Right now I'm on an ICOM IC7300 with the stock hand mic, and my TX EQ settings. I have bass at -1, treble at -3, and my transmit bandwidth right now is 300 to 2700. My compression is at a 2, and my mic gain is at 20%.
Roger, I would run that radio at full width. There's no reason to compromise on your width of transmission. So I would run that at 100 to 2900, Roger.
100 to 2900, Roger.
Roger, Roger. This is 100 to 2900. I had narrowed it down just to try to when I try to reach some DX stations. Do you recommend narrowing the TX down at all for DX calls, or keep it wide all the time?
Oh, never reduce, because when you start reducing your bandwidth, it has the greatest effect usually at the top end, and that's where all your intelligibility is. So when you roll off that, you narrow your band pass, you're rolling off the top end intelligibility. So here you are with 1,000 other guys on the same frequency at the same time, and you don't want to be muddy. You want to be the brightest kid on the lot, right?
Brightest kid on the lot, right?
Roger, Roger. How does the compression sound? Is it too much, not very punchy, or just right?
It's pretty close. It's really pretty close. I like the, what was your top end EQ on at this point?
Right now, my top end is 2900. I'm 100 to 2900.
Right, but mic EQ.
Oh, okay, sorry. The treble is at a +3, and the bass is at a -1.
Roger, and this is the 7300 stock hand mic?
7300 stock hand mic?
QSO.
Roger, yeah, I would, that's a beautiful microphone. The only thing that could, I think, beat that microphone would be a condenser desk microphone, which would be the same audio characteristics, except it would, you would have the advantage of having a desk mic versus the hand mic for ease of operation, Roger.
Roger, Roger. That's what I heard. That this radio is a little bit happier with condenser mics. Is that generally what you've seen? Do you recommend staying away from dynamic mics with this radio?
I recommend I recommend condenser microphones. Let me pick my way through that landmine. I have a personal preference to condenser microphones because they are so well articulated. You put a condenser microphone and a dynamic microphone together, the condenser microphone is going to sound so much clearer, Roger.
Okay. All right. Well, and I guess that's good that the stock mic is already a condenser. And I thought maybe it was running a little too hot because I had to have my mic gain down at 20%. But if it sounds good to you, then I'll leave it.
Well, I tell you what. Go to your ALC. Go to ALC and tell me what that's looking like.
Well, if I turn off the compressor right now, my ALC is about 50% to 3/4. And if I turn the compressor back on to level 2, the ALC goes just about 99%, and the compression is about 6 dB.
Roger. Now, I usually prefer about a 3 on the compressor, and somewhere around 40 on the microphone gain, about 40 on the microphone gain, and then look at the ALC and see what's happening at that point.
Okay, Roger. This is a 40% mic gain and a comp level of 3. The ALC is full scale on voice peaks, and the compression is about 15 dB on voice peaks.
All right. Now, remember that hand mic, you have to work it to the side. You have to talk across it as opposed to straight into it. Although at some point, if you got a windscreen, you could just set over that hand mic, and that would solve 99.9% of the problems that mic has, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, I was looking for windscreens for hand mics, and I was having trouble finding some. I think just the generic ones to just go over everything and cover the buttons. Right now I'm talking across the mic. Hopefully that sounds a little bit better. Just for audio recording purposes, this is me talking directly into the mic. This is me talking across the mic. Roger.
Well, it didn't have much turbulence directly into it that time, but you can bet your bottom dollar that you will have a lot of turbulence working directly into that mic. You want to put that to the side of your mouth and work across it, but don't put it too far back, because then you'll reduce some volume and lose some sibilance. So it's just a delicate place right there. But on the windscreen thing, they're making windscreens now that are only about 3 inches long, and it's just almost ideal for the hand mic, Roger. I mean, it used to be like 6 inches long and cover the whole microphone that they were putting it on, but now they just make them about 3 inches long, Roger.
Roger. So it's just the foam sock that goes over the whole thing, and you just gotta push the talk button through the foam.
Yeah, Roger. And, like I say, it's not real long now. It doesn't go all the way over the microphone like those old ones used to. This is just a shorty jobber, Roger. Okay, I'll have to look online for one of them. Right, or if you have a music store somewhere in town, I think they're like $4 or $5, for a foam windscreen. Oh, okay, yeah, I never considered that. I'll have to look around. I'm not sure what's in my area. Well, thanks for helping me out with my audio settings. I know there's probably a lot of people trying to reach out to you. So once again, I appreciate the feedback. KC9VKV. This is KD2PII 73, and thanks for the help. Roger, your audio looks up to be about 3 dB, maybe 2.5, somewhere in that area. So your average peak modulation is about 80-85%. So that's great. You're sounding good. I love that microphone. 3 is have yourself a good afternoon, and join us next Friday if you get a chance. We'll be here hopefully if the creeks don't rise and all that stuff. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio. We are recording between now and 5. And what you do to check out your audio is go to YouTube in a couple of days and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page you'll find a QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 3/22/19. My Group Aircheck 3/22/19, which happens to be today's date. This is KC9VKV.
This is KC9VKV.
I heard somebody there on my local receiver. Give me a shout again, please, with the call sign.
KD0RFU.
KD0RFU.
Kilo Echo 0, Romeo Sierra Uniform.
Roger, and what's the name there, please?
Echo Delta.
One more time, please.
Echo Delta.
I got you, sir. Ed, whereabouts are you, sir?
Southeast Iowa.
Oh, have we talked on the internet or communicated?
Negative.
Okay, I was expecting a gentleman from Iowa to try to check in maybe this afternoon, but I've got you about probably 3 dB above my noise level. Roger.
Roger, I'm only running 10 watts.
Understand you're running 10 watts.
That's correct.
Roger, Roger. Well, I've got you at the 10 watt power setting. Now you could come on up to a kilowatt if you got it.
No, 100 watts max.
I'll take it.
There's 100 watts.
I love it. I mean, I'm all for the low power stuff and all that, but we are recording, and that was, like I say, it was about 3 dB above my noise level. Roger.
Roger, I got knocked off the frequency just a little bit then.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, I thought you might have been attacked by Darth Vader.
Yeah, when I rolled in that extra wattage, I bumped the VFO.
Okay, so this is the same radio as before, except you're back to max power. Roger.
Roger.
All righty, and what kind of radio is this?
The Yazoo FT991.
Ah, Roger, Roger. It sounds pretty good, sir. What part of Iowa are you in?
Southeast corner, a little place called Mount Pleasant.
Alrighty, I'm looking at your audio, and I'm showing it as somewhat not processed. If you would be interested in maybe getting a little fatter audio, I would suggest that you might start with the compressor at about a 3, Roger.
Okay, I don't think today I want to mess with it, but I may check back with you sometime.
Roger, Roger. It looked pretty good that time, but normally, you want about a 3 dB dynamic range, which puts your average percent of peak modulation somewhere around 80–85%. And that's, a good fat signal. The problem is today there's so much noise on the frequency, man-made and otherwise. Mostly, I think it's man-made. That along with poor signal situations just, raises havoc with trying to perceive exactly what some folks are saying when their RF levels are really pretty low coming in. So that's why we want to get the fattest audio we can, trying to keep it as pleasant as possible, but trying to get that average percent of peak modulation up so we can be heard and understood even in pretty adverse signal situations. Roger.
Roger. What's your QTH?
We're located next to Louisville, Kentucky. We're just across the Ohio River from Louisville in Indiana. Roger.
Roger.
And I don't know about how far we are away, but I know Iowa's a fair piece down the road. Roger.
Roger, yeah.
So I appreciate the check-in there, and like I say, maybe some afternoon, you could check in, and we could huddle a little bit, and consider mic EQ and dynamic range and all that stuff. Roger.
Roger. What's the handle there?
The handle here is Jim at Juliet India Mike, and this is the QSO-VLOG network, where we run between 3:30 and 5, and recording air checks, continuous, and then we post it within the couple of days up on YouTube. And you can go to YouTube and hear your audio. Just go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That'll take you to the QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 3/22/19. That's today's date. My Group Aircheck 3/22/19. Roger?
Roger on that. Okay, well, 73, have a good day, and I appreciate talking with you. KC9VKV, K0RSU.
Roger, Ed 3's that way, sir, and don't be a stranger if you're about next Friday afternoon. Give us a shout. Love to hear from you. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a call. We are recording between now and 5, and gosh, I guess we're celebrating daylight savings time. Just within the next little while, we just changed over there, so we're on daylight savings time now, I think. This is KC9VKV. There were 3 stations right together there. I couldn't copy, well, I could copy them all, but I couldn't cipher any one specific. So try it again, please.
Alpha Bravo 7, Hotel Zulu.
I was just rolling around the SDRs. This is KC9VKV. Station, come back and try it again, please.
Alpha Bravo 7, Hotel Zulu.
Alpha Bravo 7 station, come back with a call sign.
Alpha Bravo 7, Hotel Zulu. Jim, this is George, and I talked to you back in December, and you gave me some pretty good information, and I was just checking it out again. Over.
Roger, was that George?
That's affirmative.
Roger, and what's your location, George?
South Alabama, and you had mentioned about the Heil Pro earphone microphone set, and I was able to get that, so I wanted to kind of check that out today. Over.
Roger. Well, tell me about your antenna there for a minute.
My antenna is a dipole inverted Z up about 24 feet, and my rig is an ICOM IC7300. My mic gain is roughly 40%, running 100 watts, no compression. Over.
All right, so put the compressor in line at about a 3. In line at about a 3. Roger.
Roger, in line, and it's on 3, and testing 1, 2, 3. Over.
All right, now it sounded a little bassier that time than before. Were you maybe working the mic just a little bit different?
No, I was just using it as I set it up. Do I need to be further away or closer to? Over.
Well, let's consult the ALC. Let's see what your ALC says.
My ALC is pretty close to topping out. Over.
All right, so pull your mic gain down. What is 40 now?
Affirmative.
All right, pull your mic gain down to 35.
Mic gain is now down to 35. It's backed off just a little, but not too much. Over.
Roger. You want to be running between half scale and 2/3.
Half scale and 2/3. Roger.
Are you at that point now, or still hot?
I am still hot. Over.
All right, pull your mic gain down to 3.5. Roger.
Roger. I was on 3.5 and now I'm on 3.0. Roger.
All right, and take a look again at your ALC and see what you got.
Right now my ALC is running pretty close to 9 on it, which is pretty close to topping out. Over.
All right. What mic are you running?
I'm running the Heil Pro set with the built-in microphone on the earphones. Over.
Okay. What I would suggest would be to work that microphone just a little bit further away from your mouth, just a little bit further away, because it does sound like it's what's called proximity effect. Dynamic microphone, as you get closer to it, it has a bass build-up anomaly. Roger?
Roger. And I've just moved it a little further away. Do you think that helps at all? Over.
I think so. Now check your ALC running it like that.
The ALC is still topping out pretty close to 9, and I'm at 30% gain. My comp is running at 3. Over.
Okay. Let's do EQ for just a minute. What's your tone?
Hold on just a minute. Let me get there. Over.
Roger. Roger. Menu settings.
That's where I went to, and hold on just a minute.
This is KC9VKV on the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. Right now, we're working with George on his boom mic on his headset, and we are recording between now and 5, so jump in line there, and we'll get back to George here and see what's going on.
For some reason, I cannot bring that up. I can't figure out where it is. Hold on.
Yeah, I would be in the menu, settings, tone.
Roger, I have that now. Over.
All right, and what are you running there? What's your EQ? What's your reading?
Right now I'm running a bass of +1 and a treble of +3. Over.
All right, take that bass to -1. Take your bottom end EQ to -1.
Bottom end Q is now set at -1. Over.
Wow, that was pretty steep there. You went from a +1 to a -1. Is that a Roger? Check that again.
Yes, the bass, transmit bass is on -1. My treble is +3. Over.
Well, Roger, it's okay now, but that last transmission, boy, you were really thin. It sounded like you had didn't to -10 or 20, but it sounded better now. So tell me a little bit about your antenna.
My antenna is an inverted V, and it's a dipole on 40 meters and 20. It's up 24 feet and about 10 feet on each end. Over.
All right, that sounds pretty good. Now check your ALC.
That means ALC is back down around 7, so that's looking a little bit better. Over.
Okay, I seem to, there's a tonality change back and forth on that microphone. It sounds like you might be working it different from one time to the next time. Roger?
I'm leaving it set pretty much as it is, and not much is moving, so I'm at a loss as to that. Over.
Okay, just the way you were just then, that was absolutely perfect. So when you work that microphone, just work it that way. I don't know, maybe, you know, it's hard to be off mic with a boom, headset boom, you know.
Yeah, and I'll keep that in mind, but the information you gave me back in December really helped a lot, and having this reconfirmed is going to give me a good idea, especially when I can listen to it on YouTube. Over.
Roger. Now there again, you were pretty shallow on the bottom end, so I don't know. Maybe it's, you know, maybe you have to look at it a certain way. It just seems to be very sensitive, the response as to how you work it. You know, it's got a lot of or the absence of a lot of bottom end from time to time. You know.
Yeah, I moved it in just a little bit more. Does that seem like it's any better? Over.
Well, it kind of is heavy on the bottom end, kind of muffly almost, you know, and that's why we moved it out to get rid of that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, is that any better now that I moved it out? Over.
Yes, is that pretty much where we moved it the first time?
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay, so you know, for whatever reason, it seems to be very temperamental about the way you work it. I'm not really sure why, though. Let's talk to me a little bit more about what's your ground system? Do you have a ground system?
Yes, it's pretty solid. I've got 4 8-foot ground rods in, and they're all connected, and then I run the short ground wire into the shack. Over.
Roger. Now, just out of curiosity, that boom mic, is there a way that you can check it one way and then turn it around and check it the other? Make sure you've got the right end towards the mic or towards your mouth.
Yeah, let me try to turn it around. Let's see if that does anything.
Not nice to tune up on an active frequency, whoever. Not very good to tune up on an active frequency. Go 3 clicks up, 4 clicks down, but not on an active frequency. Thank you.
I just disengaged the conference on it. Does that make any difference? Over.
I was switching around to see if I could get a better SDR copy. Repeat again, please.
I had just switched the comp off. I'm running mic gain at 30%. Is that any better? Over.
What did you switch off?
The compressor.
No, I would leave the compressor on. You know, that's part of the motif. The compressor's doesn't have hardly anything to do with tonality. Not the kind of shift that's going there. I was thinking like, does that boom mic? It's got a windscreen on it, right?
It does. Affirmative. Over.
I was just wondering the possibilities of the diaphragm actually getting turned over underneath the windscreen.
I'll have to look at that and see, and I won't take up any more of your time. I know you got people that want to get in, and I'll listen to it on the YouTube, and then I'll try to get back to you later on.
Roger, when you listen back, listen to the tonality shifts. 1 minute it's got a nice curve, and the next minute it's muddy, and the next minute it's tinny. So you know, just to check that out. It's an anomaly that I'm not really sure why it happens, but I think it is an acoustic thing. I don't think it's an electronic shift of EQ or anything. I think it's the actual microphone and the way it's perceiving your dialogue one time and then the other time. So anyway, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and then that'll take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page look for QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 32219. My Group Aircheck 32219. And we'll say 3 is for now, and we'll catch you later, George, and be sure and try to join us next Friday, and maybe we can pursue this anomaly on the boom mic a little bit further. This is KC9VKV.
Kilo Alpha 8
There was a Kilo Alpha, I think, station.
Yes, this is Kilo Alpha 8 Papa, the name is Dan.
Delta, Alpha November, and I'm in the Isle of Palm, South Carolina.
Okay, and it was Dan?
Kilo Golf 0.
Dan, could you bring your call sign back again?
It's Kilo Alpha 8 Papa. I had my amp off, I'm sorry.
Sounds better with it on.
I would hope so.
Much better. All right, try that call sign again, sir.
This is Kilo Alpha 8 Papa, and I'm in the Isle of Palm, South Carolina.
Roger, the name is Dan?
Correct.
All right, Dan, and what radio are you running?
A Kenwood TS-890.
All right, and what I would suggest would be just a token amount of compression, like a three, compressor on and about a 3 level.
Right now it's off. I'm going to turn it on, and you tell me if it makes much difference. You have it on now.
Okay, it's not going to make much difference, apparent difference, but it begins the fattening process for the radio. And I would now check the ALC and see what your ALC level is.
No, my ALC is good. It's within the range. I'm about 2/3, 70%, and that's where I'm operating it right now.
Roger, that's a good a good amount. And I would suggest then that you go to your EQ. And I have a preference if it's a little brighter signal, maybe a couple of clicks added to your top wherever it is at the moment.
This EQ has like a preset that has about 10 or 12, and I will go through some of these. This is one I program. This is a user 2, but I'm going to go up to a high boost here. That's high boost 1, high boost 2, formant pass, bass boost 1, bass boost 2, conventional, and back to my user 1.
I would say check your conventional and tell me about your antenna system.
Yeah, there's the conventional there. The antenna system is a 0.5 vertical antenna in my backyard, and I have a lagoon back here, and I am about 1,000 feet from the ocean, so I'm in a good location here.
Oh, roger that. That's it. You're running probably about a 4 dB dynamic range. I'm usually trying to get folks to run about 3. At a 3 dB dynamic range, your average percent of peak modulation is somewhere in the 80 to 85% area, Roger.
Okay, and how would I get it down? You just maybe cut the mic gain down?
Well, no. See, it's the opposite. The fatter the signal, the lower the dynamic range. What you're talking about in dynamic range is the difference between the least amount of audio and the maximum amount of audio. So if you're running 10 dB dynamic range, that means that you have the least is -10 and the max is 0 level, say on a VU meter. So what you want to do is bring that least up. And in that, when you do that, then you're fattening the signal. Compression limiting between those two, you're looking to reduce that dynamic range for a fatter signal, Roger.
Okay, and how should I go about that?
Well, like usually you can run a token amount of compression, like a 3, and then bring your mic gain up, or manipulate your mic gain to where your ALC is running between 1/2 and 2/3. I recommend 2/3 because that represents a fatter signal. Roger, will represent a fatter signal.
Okay, I'm going to turn my output on the. It has a different kind of compressor. It has an input and an output. I've turned up the output a little, but I'll try the input too. Hold on here. Now if I turn that up, that's going to make quite a bit of difference. Back to you.
Oh, you have an output on your compressor.
That's correct. Output and an input.
Well, everybody's got an input, but nobody hardly's got an output. Turn that output. What's your reading on that output level now?
It's just about 50%. But as I increase the input, it obviously picks up background noise.
Right, but we want to stay with an ALC. So if you turn down the output of the compressor to about 15% less than where you are now, that will then you could bring the input of the compressor up, and that signal would start getting fatter.
Okay, well, I'll bring the input up there. Does that make any difference?
Okay, now you sound like you might have pulled off mic there a little bit.
I could have. I probably did.
So it's hard to gauge, you know. I'm listening. That's all I got to go by, Roger.
Well, yeah, it's tough conditions because there's QSB and polarization changes, and you'll go from a nice wide signal yourself to a very narrow sounding, and that's hard to avoid.
Well, I would hope that I wouldn't do too much fading. What is my signal at the moment?
You are an S9 here. You're not fading a lot, but there are times when it's just atmospheric conditions change the tonal quality.
Oh, yes. I propose that, you know, when the signal takes off, it's all sky wave, nothing's moving ground wave, and there are various reflection points in the sky that, you know, the one part is the majority of the reflections coming down, but there are places past that point that also reflect to some degree, and when they reflect back at a later time frame, time base, when they both come back, sometimes they're slightly at bad phase angle relationships, and the first thing that happens is that the top end of the audio spectrum starts to cancel. So that's why I always try to put a little more top end in the audio than possible, because I know that the signal is going to be degraded to some degree starting with the syllabic range.
Yes. Your signal's been holding up very well. Your audio is quite nice, which I would expect it to be. I'm running about 700 watts here, so you should have a pretty good signal. What was my signal strength?
I am running reduced RF in the front end to stay out of HEC compression. So when I'm recording, I can record as linearly, as cleanly as possible without any compression of the signal or introducing any much additional noise other than, you know, band noise. So, but I'm looking at your signal, and I would think that maybe you could turn your compressor down just a little bit more, and then take a look at your ALC, and if it's a little bit low, you could bring your mic gain up, and we would have a little fattening going on there.
Okay, well, I can work on that, because it's when I go to certain menus, I can't see my ALC, so I'm going to have to play with that into a dummy load or something and work with that. But I'm using the monitor function. I have headphones on now, and it sounds okay to me. My processor is currently off. I can play with this a little bit, but I do appreciate you taking the time to help me. And as you said, I believe I can hear this conversation on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to a QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 32219. My Group Aircheck. And I'm looking at my 22 right now on my board, and not doing real well. They're little sliders, and they have slid together. Now, yes, you can see it. 32219. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. And will that be immediately available, or will I have to wait a little while?
You'll have to wait. I'm sorry, but I usually say like a couple of days, just to be sure that it's there. I'm usually half that time, but I do say a couple of days, Roger.
Okay, well, that's what I'll do. I do appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I will let somebody else get in there, and you can help them. So this is Kilo Alpha 8 Papa. I say 7-3, and thank you very much, Jim.
Roger, Roger, Dan. And if you get a chance, I would look into a windscreen. If if you have a chance, they are just to solve so much problems with microphones. I heard a couple of plosives in there, so I'm sure that if you went by your local music store, they have real short ones, not only about 3 inches long, that don't get in the way. They do cover the front of the mic, and that's all you need. So I'll say 3 is for now, Roger.
Should do that. This is just a Kenwood MC60 desk mic. It's an old mic I have. It's probably not necessarily the best, but I'll be looking for more mics. So maybe everybody tells me get a D104. 73 Jim, Kilo Alpha 8 Papa.
Roger. Well, now a D104, if it's transistorized, that's great, and it'll work beautiful. But if it's a D104 without the amplifier, you're going to have sheet tin, unless you figure out a way to get a transformer that goes from a real high impedance to a low impedance to match your 600 ohm mic input. But if it's amplified, there's not a problem, because it's a perfect match. And so we say 3s for now, Dan. And you have a good day. And if you get a chance, check in next Friday, and we'll compare notes, see what's going on. 3s for now. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
Kilo 3 Uniform Foxtrot Mike.
The Foxtrot mic station, come back again, please.
This is Kilo 3 Uniform Foxtrot Mike. That's Kilo 3 Uniform Foxtrot Mike. Over.
Roger, Roger, Foxtrot Mike. And what's the name there, please?
The name here, Jim, is Jack. The name is Jack, and we're located in western Pennsylvania. Over.
Roger that. And what radio are you running, sir?
Running the Kenwood TS870, the T870, with a gold line microphone, and running about 400 watts peak output. Over.
Roger that. I would suggest just a little more top-end EQ on that microphone. Maybe, what's your settings now?
Really much. I have the range open from 0 to 3400 hertz, and the mic gain is sitting at about a 4. Over.
Roger. So, yeah, I would suggest the width of the radio to be like 100 to 2900, or 100 to 3K, however your radio's set up, Roger.
Alrighty, we just changed it from 100 to 3K. 100 to 3K. I think that should do it. Over.
Roger, because if you get too much wider than 3K, you start inciting riots amongst your enemies, or inciting enemies amongst your rioters, or whatever. But it comes back to bite you. So I try to keep it within 3. And so then if you went to your mic EQ, and clicked in a couple of more top-end EQ, I think that would help you some, Roger.
Roger, I'd have to go through the menu system to do that. I'm going to turn on the EQ that's preset. I don't know what its settings are, Jim, but there's just a preset that's in there turned on. So I don't know if you hear a difference with that and whether it's good or bad, Jim. Over.
I didn't hear much of a difference. How many selections do you have that way?
Just one, without going into the memory system and changing settings that way. I can experiment with that with a dummy load and see where I'm at, Jim. Over.
All right. Well, let me give you a notebook there, and you can make some notes. I would increase the top-end EQ of that microphone the way it is now, and the way it was the first time I heard you. I would increase the top end 2 to 3 clicks hotter on the top end. Roger?
Roger. Top end 3 clicks higher. Gotcha. Over.
I would run my compressor at about a 3. Can you access that and put that on about a 3?
Yes, I can. Let's see. Let's turn the compressor on. That should be compressor on, and that seems to be way too high. What do you think? Over.
I pull that compressor down to a 3. Compressor on a 3.
Okay, that's pulled down to about a 3. About a 3 right there, Jim. Over.
All right, and I think with that, take a look at your ALC to be sure your mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay, ALC is way overboard here. Let me try to bring her down. Okay, oh, that's still too high.
Yeah, Jack, I think you might have hit the VFO. Jack, you might have hit the VFO. Try to put her back on. We're on 7189, Jack.
Okay, Jim, we're back to 7189. Sorry about that, but I guess the old fingers don't move like they used to, Jim. Over.
Oh, Roger. Well, my kingdom for smaller fingers. That's what I say. The Japanese or the Chinese keep making things smaller, so you have to. I can't even use a tablet. I have to use a stylus to run the tablet because my fingers are too big, and I hit 5 or 6 things at once. Roger.
Roger on that. I like to use the stylus also. It certainly makes things a whole lot better for me. Does it sound like we're hitting the ALC still too heavy? Over.
Well, now you're going to have to tell me, sir. You take a look at that ALC when you're talking, and let's see what's going on there.
Okay, when I'm talking, it looks too heavy to me. It looks quite a bit too heavy, and the gain of the mic is really turned down. I'm down to about 9 o'clock position, and it still looks too heavy to me, Jim. Over.
Well, you have a couple of options. You can move away from the mic. How close are you to that mic now?
I've been running about 4 inches. Let me back up here. No, this is about 6 to 7 inches, and it's better, but still not exactly where I think it should be. Over.
Roger. Well, I tell you, when you start working a microphone 6 inches away or so, you're going to, if you've got kids, you're going to start hearing them. If you've got a wife, you're going to start hearing her. If you've got dogs and cats and alligators, you're going to start hearing a bunch of things. I suggest that you work about 4 inches or so. Roger?
Roger. That's what I always used to do. And I'll give that some work and see what it sounds like and check it out, Jim. I certainly appreciate what you're doing. We'll try to come in with you next Friday and let you know what I ended up doing there, Jim. Over.
Roger that. As far as the ALC, if you're still hot, I would pull your mic level down 5 units. Let me know what that is, and we'll hear that and see what it does.
Okay, right now the mic gain is really at the 9 o'clock a.m. position. 9 o'clock a.m. position with the processor turned on. I'll turn the processor off.
Now leave the processor on.
Turn the processor off. We lose ALC big time. I'm just bringing it up to get to the point where hopefully we can find it again. All right, here we go. The processor is now off, and the ALC is within the. Testing 1, 2, 3. The ALC is now within the 2/3 point, and I'm about 4 inches away. Over.
Roger, Jack, but with the compressor off, we're not going to be able to get a fat enough signal. So I would suggest leaving the compressor on, leaving it at about a 3 level. About a 3 level on the compressor, and then it would be better to turn your mic gain down then. But you want to keep that compressor in, Roger?
Okay, Roger. We will put the processor back in again. We'll turn the mic gain down. We're getting close to where it should be now. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is getting close to the 2/3 position. That should be very, very close to the 2/3 position. I'm now back 4 inches from the mic. Looks pretty good on the meter here, Jim. Over.
I think you got going on now. That's about a 3 dB dynamic range, so that's what we're looking for, Roger.
Very good, sir. Very good. That was a major help there that you've given me. I will write these settings down before I forget, and I know exactly how to go to the YouTube and find out for a listen in a couple of days, Jim. Over.
Sounds great. Sounds great. So let me say 3s for now, and you have a good weekend. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday, Roger.
Very good, sir. I certainly will give that a try. I should be available and looking forward to it. Thank you very much for taking the time to help me work through that, Jim. I very much appreciate it. 7 3s, and we'll be clear with you. Clear with KC9VKV, K3UFM, saying 7 3s and thanks.
Roger, Roger, Jack. 3s that way, sir. Have a good afternoon. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, in the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording, and then we'll post it all up on YouTube. We record from 3:30 till 5, so we're going to have about an hour and a half long QSO-VLOG network that will be recorded and posted up on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 32219. My Group Aircheck 32219. This is KC9VKV.
KC9 Bravo Kilo 230BK.
Okay, there's about 3 stations there. The first station that responded was the loudest. Try coming back again, sir.
KD9MAL.
MAL, is that correct?
No, Kilowatt Bravo 9, Mexico, America, Ontario. Name is Clyde.
Roger, Clyde. What radio are you running, sir?
I'm running a Kenwood 590F. Just got it. And was wondering how audio sounds on it and signal-wise.
Roger, I'm copying you about 5 dB above my noise level. I started to, I'm running 3 additional SDR receivers, internet SDR receivers. So come back and talk to me for just a minute and let me check out the other SDRs, see if I can get a better signal on you, Roger.
I can get a better signal on you.
And got this 590S, and it's quite a radio so far, as I found out. Works really well on receive. It's got a lot of filtering and such here. And you got to read the book over 3 or 4 times, I think. The way this one looks. So back to you, KD9MAL.
Roger, on having to read the book there 3 or 4 times. These radios are so involved today that it does take quite a bit of studying to realize exactly what's going on. Well, I did have a better copy on you for a moment on the Milford, PA SDR, but things are excuse me, changing on the band, so nothing lasts forever there. Do you copy me okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm copying you. S10, very consistent. I don't know where you're at, but very consistent signal on this end here. I'm in Alaska, Wisconsin, over by La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is our neighbor just on the other side of the interstate. Over.
Roger that. Well, I'm copying you best now on my local antenna. We are located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky, just across the Ohio River from Louisville in Indiana, and I do have a good copy on my local antenna. So are you interested in maybe getting a little fatter audio, or what, sir?
Well, I was just wondering if I sound, I can't think of the word right now. I'm trying to think of just normal, but just enough little punch there that I don't have to worry about. You got a good sound. I'm using an MC50 mic on this radio here. You got good audio there. I don't know what you're running for equipment, but it sure does sound nice, clean, and not too much bass and not too much high. You're just doing a good job.
Roger, Clyde. Well, I would suggest, just when I was copying you there, that you take a look at your ALC. Do you know how to get to your ALC to take a look at your audio on the ALC?
Yeah, just a second here. Okay, I'm looking at my ALC right now, and I'm not quite going outside the red. See, just the peaks, and that's about it.
Roger, yeah, you want to be mid-scale to 2/3. That's the best range, mid-scale to 2/3, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, okay. Well, it could be cut back just a little. That shouldn't be too hard to do.
And Clyde, I would suggest as a SOP that you engage that compressor at about a 3, just a token amount of compression, about a 3. Not that you would hear it, but it does make a difference there. So if you had a chance, I'd put that compressor, engage the compressor, and put it at about a 3. Roger.
Roger, okay. Well, I'd have to get into the menu on this. A little, how would you say, lost right now. So, thanks for the information. I'll do that and see what happens here.
Okay, Clyde, if you've got a pencil and paper, I'll give you some notes.
I'll try it. Let's go.
All right. I would engage the compressor at about a 3. Put that compressor on and about a 3 on the compressor. And then I would take a look at my ALC and adjust my ALC for mid-scale to 2/3. Adjust after you get the compressor in line at a 3, adjust the ALC between the mid-scale and 2/3. And then I would crank in just a little top-end EQ, a couple of two clicks or so boost on the top-end EQ of the microphone. Roger?
Okay, real fine.
And then if you get a chance, join us next Friday, and we'll compare notes and see how you're doing, Roger.
Okay, I got the frequency written down here, of course. We'll take it into advisement here and see what we can do. It'd be interesting to find out. This is an interesting radio. So, thanks for the information. I appreciate that an awful lot there. And what time do you start? You said Saturday.
Clyde, we start Friday afternoons at 3:30. Daylight savings time now. So 3:30 daylight savings time on Friday afternoons is when we start. Then we roll till 5 and record the whole distance. The sooner that you could check in, probably the easier that you will be to get a hold of me. Sometimes in the later afternoons we start getting pretty jammed up. Roger.
Roger. Well, I don't want to jam you up too much here. the other guys that want to get in here also. So we will see if we can get this adjusted properly here. So with that, we'll back out of here, and thanks for the information and the time. I appreciate you picking me up, and you have a good day, what's left of it, and a pleasant evening. This is Kilowatt Bravo 9 Mike Alpha Oscar 73. Thank you.
Roger, Roger. Clyde, 3's that way, sir. Thanks for dropping by, and hopefully we'll see you next Friday afternoon and compare notes after you've had a chance to crank in some of those notes that we just talked about. So 3's for now. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording. This is KC9VKV. About 3 stations in there, and didn't copy any of them. Loudest station, try it again.
November 5, uniform, golf.
There's a November 5 station. Come back with the call sign again.
Thank you very much. The call sign here is November 5, United, U Golf. 5, U
Okay, I got a part of that. What's the name?
The name here is Joe, Japan, Oscar, Echo, and I am located in southeast Louisiana, north of New Orleans.
Okay, Joe, let's work on our EQ here for just a minute. Do you know how to get to your EQ, tone, equalization?
Yes. Every time I, of course, hit the menu button, it disappears, but I can, yes.
So menu settings. Well, what radio are you running?
I just unboxed this ICOM 7610. So it's actually my first contact.
Okay, menu settings, tone.
Hang on, let me do that.
This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. Right now we're working with Joe on his 7610.
Okay, I'm here. Basically, it's not a parametric or an EQ, it's just bass and treble, and of course, wide, mid, or narrow.
Roger, Roger. So you want to be in the widest band possible. Widest band possible, Roger.
Okay, yes, that's where it was, transmit wide.
All right, and there's 2 other places that will also determine your width. I don't know why ICOM does that, but there's 3 other places that will also, and it will default to whichever one is got the lowest setting. It's what it does. But anyway, let's assume that you have they're all in the same mode, and you're in the widest 100 to 2900. Roger.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay, and you're in tone control?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, and the bottom end, you want to roll that 2 clicks. Roll that negative 2 clicks from where you are. -2 from wherever you are, Roger.
Okay, I set it to transmit single sideband space -2.
All right, go one more, -3.
All right, this is inside UH, -3.
All right, let's go to the top end, +2.
All right, there we are, single sideband treble, +2.
All right, and then tell me about your antenna system.
Okay, right now, actually I'm exciting an ALS 1306. The antenna system is a 2-band Chris-Craft monoband antenna, 40 meters, up about 40 feet, and pointed generally north. And by the way, the microphone is a high LPR port.
Roger there, Joe. Okay, now let's play with your dynamic range just a little bit. I want you to put your compressor on at about a 3. Get your compressor on at about a 3. Roger. Oh my gosh, the mentally ill are on the frequency. Please tune up elsewhere. Up 3, down 4, but don't tune on an active frequency. Okay, Joe, how are we doing there? KC9VKV, how about it, Joe? You got a copy? This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor. Joe, you got a copy? Well, I think Joe has been stolen by gypsies at the moment, I think. Joe, do you copy?
I'm back. I'm sorry. I've lost the VFO now. My apologies.
All right. Well, I've got you quite low, a lot lower than what you were just a minute ago, Roger.
No, I don't know. Let me see. Oh, boy. For some reason, the amplifier kicked into standing wave protection, but I should be back now.
Yes, you are, sir. You are indeed. All right, so you've got your compressor on at about a 3, Roger?
Both of those settings are correct. Yes, sir.
All right, now go to quick and pull up your drive. Right on the front of your radio, you've got a button marked quick.
Okay, I see a drive gain right now at 50%.
All right, take that drive up to 60% and let me hear you.
All right, here is N5UG, drive level at 60%.
All right, take it at 65%.
All right, N5UG, drive level 65%.
All right, then tell me, let's see, did you tell me about your antenna system already? I think you did. Tell me about your ground system.
Okay, the grounds are all one common point. Antenna is grounded at the tower. Radio and amplifier both go to a ground underneath the operating system, which goes with some number 6 wire to an 8-foot ground rod outside the shack. Oh, maybe about 20 feet total.
All right. What's your top-end EQ setting right now?
Top-end EQ, I think we left that at a 3.
Add 2 more to that. Add 2 more to that. You may be at the max point. I'm not sure. You'll be close to it, but make that about a 5. Roger, Roger.
Okay, let me go do that. Let me bring it up.
This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program network, and we are recording between now and 5, and then uploading it to YouTube, where you can go to YouTube and check it out by doing a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor. That will take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for an Aircheck marked My Group Aircheck 32219. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, I'm back. My apologies. It was not a 3. It was a 2, and now it's set to a +4.
All right, I think we're cooking here. Now, tell me about the best part about that radio that you like.
Well, I'm an ICOM and Yaesu guy.
I just replaced a 7100 with this. The dual receivers, the selectivity, the sensitivity, the touchscreen, and if I can figure out how to get the external receive antenna to work on the back, so far I haven't gotten that, and I'm going to just submit a post on QRZ or something so I can use my external receive antenna.
Roger, Roger, Joe. Well, I think we got you there, sir. And I think you'll find it interesting when you go to YouTube and do that call letter search for KC9VKV, and then it's my group Aircheck 32219. I think you'll like the before and after picture, Roger.
Oh, well, look, I tell you what, I appreciate the service that you perform for the amateur radio community, and I know that takes time and money. I think you said you've got several SDRs there, that plus the recording space and so forth, so I won't hold it. I know there are other stations wishing to get an Aircheck. And thank you. Hey, I'll take this Aircheck and see if I can get a job as a radio air personality. Thank you very much. 73 good weekend from N5 and UG.
Roger, Roger, Joe. Your dynamic range is about between 2.5 and 3 dB, so it's really fat. The EQ now is nice and sharp. Before it was kind of muddy and hard to understand. So now I think you'll stick out in the, in the QRM and noise and all that stuff. So that's what we got to do, is to be able to get our audio where it's well defined and fat as possible, still being pretty pleasurable to listen to. So, Joe, 3s for now. If you get a chance, check back in next Friday and we'll compare notes. So 3s for now. We'll catch you later. This is KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program, where, we record between 3 and 5, 3:30 and 5 Eastern Daylight Time. Gosh, got to get all those facts right. And then we post it on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will bring up our QSO-VLOG page, and then you'll be looking for today's QSO, which is identified as my group Aircheck 32219. 32219, and we've got about 3 minutes before 5, and we turn into a pumpkin about that time. So if you want to get your air check in, give us a call. KC9VKV.
Kilo 4 Lima Japan Echo.
Kilo 4 Lima Japan Echo, go.
Yeah, KC9VKV. Excuse me. K4LJE. The handle is Jim. I'm in a little town called Eden, North Carolina. Good afternoon, sir. Hope you're doing okay.
Oh, doing beautiful, sir. You got a great signal there. I'm saying that's about 15 over, Roger.
Okay, there goes my darn phone. It'll quit in a second, but yeah, appreciate that. You're about the same signal strength yourself, and I was talking to you Mobile. I don't know, about a month ago maybe, and anyway, we had quite a nice QSO together, but I had some mobile problems which I've yet to fix. But we're here on the Yaesu Fox Tango 920, and we're running about 1100 watts out with the Clippers and Nail Dentron and a vertical, a quarter-wave vertical over.
Roger, well, you got great EQ. You really got a nice handle on your EQ, and your signal strength is just beautiful. What kind of antenna was that?
It's the vertical. It's the quarter-wave vertical from DX Engineering. Over.
Roger, Roger. Well, gosh, that's great. Usually, most stuff coming in is on the horizontal side, and it's a pleasure to be able to look at a vertical, Roger.
Better weather down here, and the sun is out finally. Over.
Roger, Roger. Now, I had a fade out on you. Believe it or not, we're located next to Louisville, Kentucky, just across the Ohio River from Louisville in Indiana. And you went from a 15 over to a fade out. And I had to go to the Milford PA SDR to pull you out, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, didn't anything happen here locally? Nothing happened here. We're still getting the same output, and the SWR didn't go up. So, oh gosh, man, you're about gone yourself, or you're way down.
Roger, that's Mother Nature for you. That's why I love the SDRs, because they're there, and if I get a better signal, there's nothing greater than 4 options than none. Roger.
Roger.
I'll go ahead and sign there, Jim. By the way, the handle here is Jim as well, if you can still hear me. So anyway, 73, and we'll catch you again. And I know it's about time for you to wrap it up here. KC9VKV, K4LJE. We'll try it again later on.
Roger, Roger, Jim. I've got a good copy on you on the Milford PA, but we'll say 3s for now, sir. And you have a good afternoon and a good weekend. And that radio sound and choice, you got everything dialed up just perfect on that radio. You got my seal of approval. If you get a chance, check back in next Friday afternoon. Love to hear from you. 3s for now. This is a KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. And gosh, we are turning rapidly into a pumpkin, but let's go for one more. If there's somebody else out there that wants an air check, come forth.
Terry, handle is Terry, K4LJEWA8OPR.
Terry, what's the call again?
187.
Yeah, go down about 2 KC.
QSL.
Why would you want to go to 2 KC? Why don't you go 3 KC or 4 KC? 2 KC is ridiculous. It's just enough QRM. This is KC9VKV. Like I say, anybody want air check? We're getting ready to turn into a pumpkin. Give me a shout. KC9VKV monitoring.
Victor Echo 3, Mike Echo uniform.
Victor Echo 3, come back with a call sign.
Victor Echo 3, Mike Echo uniform.
Roger, Roger. What's the name, sir?
The name here is Mike. Mike India Kilo Echo. Jim, we've spoken before a few times. I think twice, I believe. Still sounding very good into Ontario, Canada. Just 100 watts in the half-wave end-fed, if you recall.
Roger. Yeah, I'm copying you on my local Louisville, Kentucky antenna. Roger, Roger.
Roger. You were peaking at 60 over dB at one point there, probably about 10 minutes ago. But I just thought I'd be your last and wave a hand hello and all the best to you for the weekend.
Did you say a 60 over?
Yeah, that's correct.
Mike, Mother Nature had been saving all that. She'd been bottling it all up, and she just let it go at one time. Roger.
Roger. Yeah, it must be that big spot that's headed our way shortly. There's been some pretty intense conditions actually last evening too, and you could throw a wet shoelace up there, and it definitely would have made the trip.
Roger. Well, sir, your audio is perfect. EQ is perfect. And your signal strength max was about a 15 over. Roger.
Oh, Roger. Beautiful. Yeah, just 100 watts on this Icon 751 and a condenser mic into a board. We share a few similar traits with the audio and radio, and I did a little bit of recording. Roger.
Roger. Now, are you using your windscreen?
Yes. It's just a muff on it. Actually, no screen.
Roger that. Yes. Well, it's a foam. Roger.
Yep, that's correct.
Roger. Yes, they're amazing. For $3 or $4, all the some folks has more turbulence volume in their audio signal than they do the actual words. You know, and in a way, they're QRMing themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it's just amazing. Windscreens just cut all the garbage out and leave nothing but the words that you speak. Just amazing. It's just and you know, what kind of are you running, a dynamic or a condenser mic?
Condenser.
Ah, yes, the only way to fly. It's like opening up the door and walking in the room.
That's right. You don't have to talk too loud, and I'm actually quite surprised too, because there's a furnace not too far away, maybe 6 feet, kind of in the little sub room there. But you can hear it from time to time. Like, I can definitely hear it right now, but it doesn't seem to be coming through here.
No, I can't hear it, and that's the thing about a windscreen. The way I work mine is right up into it, you know. I've EQ'd my bass build-up out, so it's, you know, I got the EQ that I'm looking for, but I'm right into it, touching it. My nose is there, and so I don't think I have much audio give and take. It's all pretty much right there, Roger.
That's correct. I'm pretty well operating the same way. Anyway, KC9VKV, I won't hold you up. Pleasurable QSO. I'd love to do it off another day one time, but I got to get the daughter. She's ill, so I'm just making some chicken noodle soup for her. But KC9VKV from VE3MEU, wonderful to talk to you again, and hope to do it again sometime soon.
Roger, Jim 32 at you, and have a good afternoon. And if you get a chance to join us next Friday at 3:30 till 5, where we'll air check. And this air check, if you want to hear yourself, go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that'll take you to the QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Air Check 3/22/19. My Group Air Check 3/22/19. So with that, we'll wrap up this Friday afternoon's QSO-VLOG network. Enjoyed it. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and join us next Friday at 3:30 Eastern. Let's see, what is it? Daylight Savings Time now. That's right. 3:30 p.m. Daylight Savings Time next Friday afternoon. 3s for now. We are turning into a pumpkin. Catch you later. KC9VKV clear.